Hey, this is Mike Barnes, the financial first responder. Have you ever wondered why your financial advisor, your financial planner, your insurance agent, your banker, whoever you deal with, did not tell you that you can make a higher return? So, today, what I'm going to be talking about is how to earn some money safely, it's going to be secured, and I'm going to talk about fixed rates of return that you always get. Without further ado, let's get started. Government backed investing. So it's going to be 10 to 12 factors for you to consider. I say it's 10, but it's really 12. I'm just going to tell you that up front. So you need to stay with me. We're going to talk about 3 categories that you need to be aware of. We're going to talk about 2 things you need to know, which is tax lien certificates and tax deeds. We're going to talk about what if the owner don't pay you, and then we're going to talk about what you got in common with the I, the R, and the S. Yes, the IRS. Let's go. So you see here, when we talk about these government-backed investings or investing, what we're talking about right now is we're talking about looking at number one, we're talking about rates of return that can range from 10 to 25%. Now, those of you who follow me have seen the rule of 72, and we know the bigger the interest rate, the faster your money compounds, right? We also know, based off of number 2, we know that you get to choose your jurisdiction, meaning where you want to buy the actual lien or the deed at. You get to pick the actual property that you want to do. And you also look at, depending on the state, you get to actually think about this. You get to pick your rate of return. That's awesome. Now, what we also know based off of number 4, and that should be number 3, we also know that as far as collateral, now we talk about collateral. What's collateral? It's the money you put up for these tax lien certificates. And usually you're in the first position. When we talk about number 5, it's a short period for you to learn how to do this. See, most people won't tell you that it's not that hard. It's really easy. So easy that you could touch an easy button. I don't have one for you to touch right now, but it's that easy. And then number 6, this is the drawback. You either got to go in person to the sale or you got to send a representative. And then in some cases, you may be able to do this on the internet. So let's talk about this for a second. What about liquidity? Now, Mike, what's liquidity? It's usually how easy you can get your money, right? But this is similar to a certificate deposit for you old heads. Because I know none of you younger people in your 20s and 30s are buying CDs, but this is for the old heads. So it's similar to it, which means it's illiquid. It's got to sit there for a little while to gain its interest. So what it says here is you cannot expect to receive your principal, i.e. the money you put up, and your interest rate until the full redemption period has expired. Normally, that takes 1 to 2 years, depending on the state. Here's an example. You can purchase 20 liens in the state that has a 2-year redemption period. 10 could be paid off over the first year, and the remaining could be paid off over the second year. After the tax sale in the first year, you might get 3 to 4 of these babies that pay right away. In other words, you pay the taxes, the homeowner comes back and they pay the tax office, and the tax office sends you the money plus the interest. Okay? Or you may have to wait for the actual penalty to evolve and you be able to redeem the property. Now, volatility. What's volatility? Volatility simply is how aggressive it could erode your money. Now, here's the thing. Because, and this is sexy, I'm telling you guys, this is so sexy. Because this is backed by property, guess who else does this? Banks, investment firms, insurance companies, and investors like you and me. So let's look at an example. You buy a $2,000 lien and you get 15% on that lien. Now, that interest is going to be fixed at 15%. And much like a CD, you're going to be in the position of holding something valuable, right? Now, a lot of people say CDs are not valuable, but it depends. Now, here's a special note. In the penalty jurisdictions, you have an upside because the percentage rate is your penalty, which means that your yield, and we talked about yield the other day when we were talking about the rule of 72, will increase if the owner pays off the lien faster. Meaning that if you loan the money out, they still owe the penalty. You get the money faster and you get the penalty or the higher interest rate. Now, this is the part that the financial advisors, the investment bankers, and everybody else don't want you to know. They don't get paid off this stuff. So, i.e., they don't advise people on this. Now, me, I train people on this. And so I can tell you right now, no, I don't get a commission on it. But if you decide to work with me, there is a program available that you can actually talk to me about. Now, also, I want you to like and subscribe when you get a chance. So let's look at what are the three categories, because we talked about three categories. You have your lien states, you have your deed states, and then you have hybrid states. Now, what are the differences here? Now, in the lien state, that means that you buy a lien on said property and you own the lien to the property. You don't own the property though. Now, if you buy a deed in a deed state, you actually own the property. When we talk about a hybrid state, what they're allowing you to do is actually get access. It says here, you will acquire the title to the property, subject to the prior owner's right to redeem and get their property back. So they give them time. Should the prior owner redeem, i.e. pay the tax bill plus the interest rate, the penalties and the costs, you will receive a interest rate and a penalty payment on your investment. The prior owner has a special or specified redemption period, usually about 6 months to 3 years, depending on the state, to redeem the property and reacquire the title. Now, but if they don't do that, guess who owns the property? You do. So let's talk about a brief overview on tax liens. Now, I really want you to hone in on this definition as far as a tax lien. You purchase a lien on the property which the local government issued for a failure to pay the appropriate property taxes. And you, not me, you do not have any other rights in or title to the property. You receive the statutory percentage rate until the property tax is received. The property owner has a statutory, meaning they have by statutes and laws, a redemption period within which he or she must pay the tax bill. Definition of a tax lien certificate is the financial instrument sold by a local government to investors to collect unpaid, i.e. back taxes for properties. What is the process? When the property owner fails to pay their property tax, the local government places a lien on said property. Now, liens can be put on properties because of water bills outstanding. They can be put on property because of high grass or junk in your yard or trash. It's a lot of ways that you get liens on properties, okay, that the government can do. Now, what they also do is for them to recoup this, they take the unpaid taxes and the government may auction off the tax lien to investors through tax lien auctions. Now I'm getting excited, man. Now look, so when we talk about these tax liens, we get to 7. Now you'll notice here that as the auctioneer puts down that gavel, right? The investors bid on the tax lien certificates, offering to pay the delinquent taxes on behalf of the property owner. Now, let's get this straight. They're helping the property owner, but they want that interest, right? So the winning bidder receives that tax lien certificate. Now, when you get over to number 8, investors' role in this whole process is, as the holder of the tax lien certificate, the investor essentially becomes the lien holder on the property, and the property owner is then responsible for paying the investor the delinquent taxes, interest, and any penalties. Now, if you want to know more information about that, you can follow up with me in the later slide. Let's go. So, let's talk about the redemption period. Now, in most states, you have a redemption period during which the property owner can reclaim their property by paying back the investor with interest. Number 10, the return on investment. Because all of us are interested in our return on investment, I'm quite sure of that. The investor earns money through the interest on the property the owner pays during the redemption period. If the property owner fails to redeem the property within the specified time frame, the investor may have the right to foreclose on the property and take ownership through a tax deed. That's pretty hype, y'all. So let's look at this a little further. We talked about this tax deed. So you will acquire a title to the property. You won't get any interest rate or redemption period because you essentially own the property, guys. And then when you look at the definition, it says it's a legal document granting property ownership to a government entity or an investor when the property owner fails to pay the property taxes within the redemption period. And what is this process? If the property owner does not redeem the property by paying back the delinquent taxes within the redemption period, the tax lien certificate holder, typically an investor, may apply for the tax deed, and the process varies from state to state. This is getting good. Now, let's go into 11. The government's role. Now, here's the thing. Once the application has been approved, the local government issues a tax deed to the investor, transferring ownership of said property to them. And the investor becomes the new owner of that property. Now, what are the risks and benefits? Acquiring a property through a tax deed can offer significant discounts, but it also comes with risks, such as potential for outstanding mortgages or liens not wiped out by the tax deed process. Proper due diligence is essential before investing in the tax deed property. Now, in summary, a tax certificate or tax lien certificate represents a lien on a property due to unpaid taxes, and the investor holds that certificate and earns interest on delinquent taxes. On the other hand, we're going to switch hands here. On the other hand, a tax deed is the actual transfer of ownership to an investor or the government entity when the property owner fails to redeem the property during the redemption period. Now, for some of you, you're probably saying, well, Mike, financial first responder, I hear what you're saying, but can you give me an example? So that's what I'm going to do. It is as easy as 4 steps. You got to search it, acquire it, pay for it, wait and collect. I say wait and collect is 4. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to search the county records, we're going to acquire a listing, and we're going to pay for the lien, and we're going to wait to collect. So what does that exactly mean, Mike? Well, let's talk about it. We search the county records, we acquire the listing, and then we pay for the lien and wait to collect. Well, really, Mike? What does that mean? Let's talk about it. So, as an example, I live in the DMV. That is, for you people not in the DMV, that is the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. We call it the DMV, right? That don't stand for the Division of Motor Vehicles. That stands for District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. So I searched the county records. I looked. What is a Baltimore tax lien certificate sale? It says the city of Baltimore holds an annual tax lien certificate sale, and the tax sale is used to collect delinquent, i.e., those people that didn't pay, real property taxes and other unpaid charges owed to the city, and all of which are liens against the real property. It is a public online auction. Oh, there we go. One thing you didn't know online of city lien interest on properties. So let's look at this. Well, what happens after the tax sale in Baltimore City? Well, 6 months after the tax sale, or 9 months from the owner-occupied residence in Baltimore City. So they don't just kick people out. I know y'all are like, this guy's a scumbag. No, we don't kick people out. The purchaser may file a complaint in the circuit court to foreclose all rights on the homeowner to redeem the property, provided that all notices, i.e., required documents by the court, have been met. So you say, well, wait a minute, what does a list look like? Whoa, look at here. What do we got? So let me use this pen here. Let me see. I'm going to give me a highlighter here. All right, so the actual sale was held May 15th, 2023. They put it in the newspaper Wednesday, March the 29th. So they actually gave some people time to actually pay, the dailyrecord.com. And this is what it looks like in Baltimore. Okay. So just to give you an idea. Now, what do we do next, Mike? We got to pay for this lien. And how do we pay for it? We're going to pay the back taxes owed to Baltimore City, right? The city is made whole. They're able to provide for the police, the fire, the school systems, streets, and municipality workers and things that need to be done within the city, because you own the certificate now. You can own that certificate in your name, or you can own it in your company's name. I've done both. Then you wait and collect. You receive the initial investment plus a percentage, or you receive the property at its fair market value for the lien. Now, let me go back just for a second. When you buy the lien, you go through the actual foreclosure process, you're not paying the full fair market value. You're paying what the lien was plus court costs, okay? Or attorney fees. I've done both. Now, oh, look at that guy. So what happens is, homeowner, we'll take this right here, we'll light that up. Homeowner here, you can see here, fair market value, 100,000 plus, didn't pay taxes. Government says, I need my money. They're willing to pay the investor 24%. So I, the investor, or you, the investor, go out and pay the property tax, which was $2,500, and then you get about $600 on your $2,500, if my math is correct. Sometimes math don't be mathing, but get a calculator out and do it yourself. All right, let's go next. So let's look at this for a second. I told you I was going to give you some stuff. What if the owner don't pay their bill? Now, Mike, you mean tell me I done paid $2,500 for this person's property tax and they didn't pay the bill? I didn't get my money back. Well, first of all, you're in the first position because even though it has a mortgage on it or it has a HELOC, home equity line of credit, don't matter. You pay them taxes, you're in that first position. Okay. So let's look at this for a second. I'll give you an example here. We talked about if the homeowner doesn't pay the tax. So in the first year, you pay the $2,500 in the first year. Now I'm gonna advise you that if you own a tax lien on something that you want to acquire, especially a property, if the next tax year comes up, I would pay that before somebody else pays it. Because if that's the case, you got to wait for them to get paid and then you get paid, or you get paid, they get paid before anybody can get to this property. Okay. So in hindsight, pay both years. All right. It's worth $150,000 as far as a mortgage, $15,000. Right. So you had $165,000 as far as a mortgage. Now, somebody's going to ask me in the comments, and they're probably going to say, well, Mike, why didn't the bank pay the taxes? I got an escrow and they pay my taxes. This is true. They may have an escrow or they may not. Because if you have 20% of equity in your property, you're not required to have an escrow. You're not required to have PMI. Read your contracts, people. So let's look at this for a second. I want you to understand that you and the IRS are almost the same at this point, because the IRS, they trump everybody. They're going to get their money. They'll put a lien on the property, and these people got to pay the IRS if they want to sell their property or if they want to refinance. And the same with you. So you have the tax lien, the IRS, or the IRS and then the tax lien, and then the mortgage companies come after that. So let's go a little further. So I'm going to give you an example. You say, Mike, how could I acquire one of these tax lien certificates or tax deed? Well, the first thing you could do, you could pay cash straight out. Some of you got cash sitting in your account, not earning anything. We talked about the rule of 72. Your money been sitting in the bank. You've been letting them use your money. You might as well use your money. That's an option. Some of you gurus out here know about these 12-month at 0% rate or business funding, which I work with as a partnership with a funding company, and I can tell you that this actually happens. 12 months at 0% rate funding through a credit card. Hey, you could get the money, pay it back, and have a tax lien paying more money. Crazy return. Number 3, you could borrow it from your retirement account. Now, we're talking about maybe like a 401k, okay? Because on a 401k, depending on how much money you have, usually the max that you can pull out of a 401k is usually about $50,000, okay? And then you can pay yourself back while you're at work, getting your money, your coins. Number 4. Now, I don't know if I would do this, but some people might do a home equity line of credit. But the one thing I need you to understand with the home equity line of credit, because of the new laws, you used to could write everything off that you did a home equity line of credit. You cannot do that any longer. It has to be for the improvement of your principal resident, okay? But you can pay yourself back. That's an option to get the money you need for a tax lien. Or number 5, you could borrow from a family member or a business partner. But of course, you need to pay them back because we want to keep ourselves honorable and honest with people. Well, wait a minute, Mike. Oh, be your own bank. You could borrow from your whole life or your universal life cash value. Some of y'all, I'm going to teach that a little later because you didn't know you could do that. But you need to pay yourself back. That's part of being your own bank. That's all I'm going to say with that. Number 7, you could take equity from an appreciating asset, i.e. a rental property. So you got said rental property, it's about paid for. You could go in, do a refinance, do cash out, and then go and buy your daggone tax lien certificates or tax deeds, and then have the current tenant in there paying back that loan. That's an option. See, I'm giving you options today, baby. But I'm not going to give you too much, because if you got any questions, you need to follow up with Mike at thefinancialfirstresponder.com, and I'll see if I can help you find your way to financial freedom. Until we talk again, God bless.